Well, good morning, good morning. I am going to feast for a moment on these beloveds here in the sanctuary, and I'm going to turn to our online community. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are in our stewardship months. Who is aware that once a year, for a whole month, we are focusing on supporting this center in abundance? Good. Oh, we did a good marketing job. That was good. If you were last week here with us, you heard a brilliant talk by our very own Reverend Karen Russo. Let's acknowledge her again. It was so powerful. If you weren't here, I'm just going to reenact the beginning of it. She talked about that for the whole month, our talks, our consciousness, our focus is going to be on experiencing a greater reality of spiritual abundance. So the invitation has been given. You are so invited. Are you accepting the invitation? Yes. And that's what we said last week, right? We all said yes. I read the chat from the online community. There were so many yeses. We were behind that, right? We were ready for that. Now, I don't know what you said yes to, but I had a pretty good picture in my mind what I said yes to. You know, there was a lot of movement, there was abundance flowing, there were some fireworks, there was lots of connection. I had a really clear picture of how that looked. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we could have maybe, when we do those things and ask questions, and then we connect with a picture, and it could just come up like that. And we could look around and we could say, oh, that's good. Oh, that's how you're going to expand, right? Would be good. Because we all know this, that our mind thinks in pictures. If I ask you to think about a door or a car, you don't see C-A-R, you actually see a car, right? Yeah. And so I think it would be fabulous if we would have those ideas of how we would like to have the outpicturing of the inspiration that we hear here on Sundays, and we could see them. In science of mind, we call that a mental equivalent. We create in our own mind a mental equivalent. How we envision this to outpicture. We have this wonderful teaching symbol. Ooh, I'm going to pick it up. I think it's working. That represents our teaching. And up here is unformed substance. Unformed substance. And in order for it to come into our reality, it has to pass through the law, and it has to pass through our individual consciousness. And so often, if you take... No, I got it. Okay, I'm going to lay it down. And often we do this hand motion, right? We reach to that what we want to bring forth in our life, more love, more peace, more harmony, more joy, more connection, and then we pull it into our experience. And I think it would be good to add this motion to it. I'm going to stand this way. To pull it down and then to recognize that it goes out from us into the world. It goes out. And you know, it doesn't say it is done unto you as you say. It actually says it is done unto you as you believe. And believe, that is the vibration of that mental equivalent that we are holding in our consciousness. Everyone with me so far? Right? And that is the incredible truth of this teaching. And so I had my picture, deeper connection. Lots of people. I love people. I love to be around people. I had all of that. That's what I said yes to. And then this week happened. On Monday, our beloved Molly made her transition. The place where I often go to, right next door to Reverend Leslie's office, to connect with her on a deeper level. I wasn't available. She was tending to herself, to some things that needed tending to. And then that hurricane happened. My best friend of 30 years lost a son. And it just kept going. It just kept going. By Wednesday, I was a wreck. I was. And we had a Taizé service scheduled. For those of you who don't know, a Taizé service is a service where we come together and we affirm the goodness of life. And it doesn't matter where we are on the journey. We light candles, we sit in silence, and we chant together. And when I walked in Wednesday evening in our chapel, the team had put together a walkway of lights, of candles, leading us into the chapel. And in that experience, in that service, I had a transformational shift. And here is what I realized. All of what had happened to me that week that I felt like life was pummeling me, all of it was an invitation for me to give. And it wasn't clear to me on that Wednesday night. All I felt was, for the first time all week, I was able to exhale. You know that? To let go, to allow my shoulders really to drop, to be present. But the next morning, as I was turning to this message for today, that it is titled, Step into Giving, it hit me. That is what I am called to do, to minister to beloveds, to give comfort, to share inspiration, to share truth, how I have discovered it for myself. And then an interesting thing happened. I was reminded that when I first found New Vision Center, maybe I was here for maybe 2 years. I had been coming, taking classes, and I was inspired to offer a workshop. And I came up with this little thing that I did, and I would say, my life is pretty good now, but let me introduce you to the life I had 2 years ago. And I would turn around and then speak from that place. And then I would make sure I would turn back. And I was reminded of that. I haven't done that in years. But I was reminded that it is so helpful for me to give myself a sign that says, this is it. Life is sending you an invitation. How are you going to respond to it? Now, all of our invitations are very, very different. I cannot know how invitations show up in your life. I cannot know what your deep desire is, what your yearning to express in this world is. But what I do know, without a shadow of a doubt, that those invitations are being sent out constantly. Constantly. And so I ask myself, what do I want to do with this? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And I sat back and I witnessed and I took notice of the things that I noticed. And the most incredible stories of giving showed up. And I have a couple that I brought with me that I want to share with you. Now, when you hear these stories, I invite you to make them personal for you. Because not every story is going to apply to you, right? But there's the story of this man who lived a quiet life in a village, and he made his way in October and fall in a place where it was colder than in Arizona in October. So he made his way to the local market, and as he was going there, he noticed that there was a woman sitting on the side, and she was shivering and she looked lost. And without thinking about it, he just took his jacket off and put it over her and kept on going. They exchanged a couple words, but not much more than that, and he kept on going. He went about his regular life, and a couple of months later, he received an invitation to attend an opening of a community center. And he was surprised, but he thought everybody was invited, and he went there. And he was so touched when the woman whom he had given his jacket to took the stage and shared exactly that story. She was at a crossroads. She didn't know what she was going to do. But that simple act of kindness touched her so deeply that she went and started this community center and invited him to participate. We can never, ever, ever, ever know what comes of an act of kindness, of us giving, of us answering that invitation. But the internet sure makes it easier to hear about these things, doesn't it? And so I hear about this ranch, I think it's called the Llama Farm in Montana. And I just wanted to get the name. John and Barbara. John and Barbara have this unique place, and they offer free accommodations for bikers and hikers that are making their way through Montana. And they have beautiful cabins, very rustic. Imagine a shed. But there's a bed in there. The refrigerator outside is always stocked with drinks and even beer. And inside each of the cabin is a Polaroid camera. And the hikers or bikers are invited to take pictures of their experience there. And here's what is so inspiring. John and Barbara never ever take any money. They are not accepting any donations either. They're asking people to pay it forward. Just pay it forward. You have experienced this kindness. Be on the lookout. Sharpen your spiritual antenna for giving your gift, for doing something however small, however big it is, and go ahead and pay it forward. Bless another. I think it's fascinating, these stories. And if you put in inspirational giving stories on the World Wide Web, you better have a lot of time, because there are millions of them, millions. And I know they are right here in this room, in this audience, they are right here. And we have this propensity to judge it. I don't know if you ever do that, but something happens or I see a need and I have this impulse and then I'm like, that's not going to make a difference. If we could just stop ourselves and do it anyway. Do it anyway. The sad things that are happening in North Carolina and Tennessee, in that area, that path of destruction that hurricane left behind. There's so much good that is happening right there. People who lost everything, showing up, trying to help their neighbors. And so it really behooves us to ask ourselves, where am I putting my attention? Where am I putting my attention? Where am I focusing? What is it that I want? I want to be a vessel for good. That's what I want to be. Ask yourself, what is it that you want to be? What is your transformational impetus? I think we have a slide from Marianne Williamson that says this: personal transformation can and does have global effects. And as we go, so does the world. For the world is us. Right? That's what we always say. There's only one life. We are all in it. It has its way through us as us. So the revolution that will save the world is ultimately a personal one. It is ultimately a personal one. What is the revolution that is starting within you? You know, one thing that I love about the New Vision Center, we are not a center where you come for 1 hour on Sunday morning and then that's it. And then our lives change. No. Constantly, we are inviting individuals to step back in. Morning meditation, game night, classes, gatherings, opportunities to serve, outreach. The invitations are everywhere. And I am excited to find out what more invitations are living in all of us, all of you, that want to come forward that we haven't even thought about yet. It is always a grassroots effort. It starts in the very center of one being. That is how we make a difference. I read this other story. I have to look for this gentleman's name. He is an industrialist. He was into moving equipment. Where are you? There you are. R.J. Le Tourmont. He is French. He's a very Christian industrialist, and he is known for saying, I shovel money out, and God shovels money back in. but God has a bigger shovel. I love that. So I read up on this gentleman, and he decided later in his life to do reverse tithing. Now, what do you think reverse tithing is? He gave away 90% of what he was making, and he lived of the 10%. Who knew? Who knew that something like that is even doable? Isn't that amazing? So what I want to leave us with is to know that these invitations to be all that we came here to be, or all that we are able to be, are not bestowed just on a few people. They're not just bestowed on the people we read about on the internet or hear about. They are bestowed upon each and every one of us. And so Reverend Karen Russo's invitation, are you going to accept the invitation, is a profound one. And so I will ask it again. Are you going to accept the invitation?
Yes.
Yes. And so for this week, I really invite us to sharpen our spiritual antennas. Walk through your life with open eyes. Look where there is a need. Where is there an opportunity for you to share of your love, of your presence, a hug, a smile, a kindness, a joy, some financial good? Where are you being asked to become a greater version of yourself? I am so glad we're on this journey together. Love you all. Thank you. And so let us take this, all of this, into prayer. And so we just open our hearts, open our minds to that which we know that is greater than we are, that infinite intelligence, God, spirit, source, whatever word we call it. Allowing our hearts to open up and rest in that vastness. How grateful I am to know that as I am step into this experience consciously, I know that I am one in the one. As I know this for myself, I know this for every person, every beloved, every individual here or wherever they find themselves. We are in constant co-creation with the divine. And so we are asked to show up, to step up, pay it forward, love one another, give of the very best we have within us. How grateful I am. How very grateful I am to know that this is the truth of life, that it is good and very good. And so I simply place this word into universal law. I let it go, I let it be. And together we can anchor this truth, as we say. And so it is.